Hello and welcome to the final round of the MX5 Cup Championship. Sakke Leponiemi has proven his worth over the course of the entirety of this season, winning every race he has partaken in. Can Tobias Röhner or Geoffrey Tassenoy do anything to knock Leponiemi off the top spot in the last few moments of this season? This, the championship race at Brands Hatch. My name is Dylan Coyle, and alongside me is the always fantastic and 99% chance he wasn't going to be here, Lorenzo Bonder. Lorenzo?
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final round, and bada boom. Realest guys on the room, how you doing? Let's see how this race is going to work out.
Absolutely, and just real quick, for anyone who is a little curious as to why me and Lorenzo are all of a sudden here after we said we would not be here last week, well, let's just say we're dirty liars.
He's a liar. I'm not. I'm the realest guys in the room. Actually, realest guy in the room. How you doing?
Oh man, Lorenzo. What are we going to do with you? That's probably the first out of 10 times I'm going to say, what are we going to do with you in this broadcast? Because, quite honestly, I'm not sure what we're ever going to do with you.
You figure it out something.
So, Pierre Cavillon is the first one out on the track. Looks like he just aborted on this lap, trying to warm up his tires a little bit. So far in practice, now practice was not broadcasted, but it looked like Sakke Leponiemi was struggling a little bit. He finished P3 in the standings. Pierre Cavillon actually finished first. And on top of Cavillon was Artur Zarnecki. Now Zarnecki, who has been one of the drivers that, Lorenzo, you've been very interested in throughout the course of the season. He came on to the season late. And since then, he's had a pretty good round of things, wouldn't you say?
He's been doing his thing, you know. Sometimes the last is always the first, right? He's doing very well thus far, keeping it tight, keeping it real, and who knows? Let's see how he's gonna do tonight.
Absolutely, and with this being the finale of the MX5 Cup Championship, as we see times are already starting to roll in, what is the main thing we have to look for? Well, it's going to be the battle between Geoffrey Tassenoy and Sakke Leponiemi. Tobias Röhner mathematically has an opportunity to win this championship. However, he would need to win the race and hope that Sakke Leponiemi can only finish at best 14th, and Tassenoy would have to finish down the field as well. So it's not looking that great for Tobias. However, that team aspect still might be there. And if we look at the battle between Tassenoy and Leponiemi, what would have to happen for Leponiemi to lose the championship to Tassenoy is that Tassenoy wins while Leponiemi can finish at best 4th. All Leponiemi needs to do is finish 3rd to be the champion.
Well, that's a doable job, but in the light of perspective of all things and anything glorious, I believe that's not going to happen. As Sakke, I think his motor inside his Mazda is a Mercedes compared to Tobias' Ferrari inside of Mazda, but you never know. So far, Tobias is the upper edge, and but we still have 9 minutes to go. So all kinds of things can go south during the race. Qualify, I don't know, but race most definitely.
Absolutely, and this is a very difficult track. We saw when the circus moved here to the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, as Leponiemi just shoots right up to the top. Almost a 140 flat. That's incredible. Looked like he was sandbagging a little bit in practice. He brings out the top guns in the qualifying, but this is a tough track to get 100% right. There will be mistakes. It's a very quick track, so definitely there will be cars going off. Is there anything to look out in this track, Lorenzo?
Well, if you for those who watched the Indy race, people are going to say Indy is a much easier track to drive, as it is shorter and it's much more related to pace and everything. But the GP section, which starts around turn 4, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, turn 4. Brings a new background to the race, a new factor, as the whole back straight section of the track, it's very fast, but it's very loose and very dangerous to drive, where you need to place your car properly, otherwise you're hitting the grass or the wall. That's it. And if you don't have a good drive, good luck. You're gonna be in for a bad day.
Now, there is a lot of room to make passes, just the room that there is to make passes, it's going to be difficult to do so because of the bending and twisting nature of the track. I mean, there's some parts of the track which are straight, but you have to be extremely careful if you're going to try to make it too wide even on a curve, because it could end up really bad, and especially on the GP sections of the track, there's gravel and only gravel that will really ruin your day. There's no damage, of course, with this series. However, I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with just a small mistake. All right, so Sakke Leponiemi, of course, first on the speed charts. Behind him, Röhner, Cavallon, and Zarnecki. Tassenoy sat back in the 6th. I mean, really, there is a battle going on in the mid-pack for the championship, but a lot of it is going to be based on the top 3 drivers, especially the top 2 of Leponiemi and Tassenoy. So you don't think that anything's going to happen in regards to Leponiemi not winning the championship, is that right?
I don't think so. I think the championship for him is pretty much in the bag. There is a there's the very famous saying that you got your one hand in the trophy. Basically got one hand and 4 fingers on the trophy. The only finger that he has to put is the indicator, is the index finger, or any finger we can think of. But he only has to put that little finger to nab the championship, because that's pretty much on his side. I cannot see someone beating him tonight and eventually winning the championship.
Now, if only he was here for the first race at Silverstone National Circuit. Now, we've said it multiple times during the championship season so far, but the reason he couldn't make it was because of a technical issue on the booking end side of things. So, if he in fact did race in Silverstone, we could be looking at a championship that was already locked up by this point.
Yeah, and according to Tobias and Geoffrey Tassenoy, they said that with them off the race, it was a complete different race from what they would have done if Sakke was in, because Sakke was at least 1 second faster than both of them. So, well, that made things interesting for us and for them eventually.
Absolutely, and right now both Röhner and Tassenoy were going a little slow on the end of their lap, so they're going to try and put it all out here. Tassenoy just went off of Graham Hill going into the Druids Bend. Now remember, this part should be familiar to some drivers because of the Indy circuit, and as you're going near into Surtees, you don't go off into the McLaren curve, you just continue going on near the straight where it has Pilgrim's Drop. On Cooper Straight right now, Tassenoy so far seems to be running kind of a quick lap, but again, a lot of things can happen and a lot of dangerous endeavors could happen with one small mistake, one little twitch of the wheel. Quite honestly, from what we've seen from Tassenoy and Röhner in the practice session and so far in qualifying, as Röhner is sat in the 2nd place, I don't think they're even going to be able to challenge Leponiemi. It'll take a first lap pass, I believe, for anything to be done against Sakke's part. Now, can anyone hit the 139 barrier? That's the question. Tassenoy with a big slide at the Westfield Bend. He's off. He hits the wall, and he's sitting right now at Dingle Dell. So not a good way for him to go about that lap. He goes back to the pits. His fastest time right now, as Geoffrey Tassenoy, 1:41.042. So it's over a second away from Sakke Leponiemi. Not looking good for him. He might have enough for maybe 2 laps. It looks like he might just go for the 1 lap, but it's a shame for Tassenoy, who has fought really hard, especially the last race at Vallelunga, where he basically blocked his teammate Tobias Röhner from anything. Now, that was a crazy race, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. You know, they both went shenanigans. And I believe they're going to do that same thing again. And by the way, Dylan, can you hold the fort for a second? I'll be right back.
I can hold the fort real quick for you, Lorenzo. 2 minutes, 45 seconds to go, Lorenzo. Who knows what Lorenzo's doing? He might be getting another meal, his famous Brazilian barbecue as he had a few weeks ago. Anyway, oh man, the fun we have, especially when it's just myself. So, anyway, Tobias Röhner right now is going off the Clark curve. Remember, it doesn't look like he has any time to be set. He does set 1:44.08, still 0.4 off of Sakke Leponiemi with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in this qualifying session. Geoffrey Tassenoy also is out through the Hawthorne's bend. It's going to be a tough chance for Tassenoy or Tobias Röhner to catch up. Zarnecki hits a 1:44.9. Tyler Brelin hits a 1:41.132. Right now, Brelin is sat back in 5th place in the standings. He does have a 12-point advantage over Cyril Sauce, so that is a good place for him. Brelin looked to be challenging in the first race of the year. However, what happened to him is that in Brands Hatch in the Indy circuit, he went off, had a really rough race, and so far had never been able to recover. Tassenoy on clearways. Clark curve now. It's going to be very interesting to see what he will be able to do here. This is his outlap. It appears it is, so now his timing is going to be coming right now. It looks like this is going to be his final lap, so he's going to make it all count here. Through Halewoods Hill, up into Druids. Can he do anything to knock off Leponiemi from that top spot? Going down to 1 minute to go in this qualifying session. And was that Lorenzo I heard? No, I'm hearing things. Oh, man. So Tassenoy still sat back in 5th. Tobias Röhner looks like he's going to go for 1 more lap after this. So Röhner has 1 lap left. Leponiemi on his final lap going around Surtees going into the GP circuit. Pierre Cavillon, 1 lap left for him. He's in the Druids bend. He just started his lap. Brelin, Evan Marion, both in the pits. It looks like Marion's going to go out. Not sure exactly why. He won't really have any more time. Maybe just to get a few one practice lap in, possibly. Going even back further, Craig Patterson is on his final lap, it looks to be, unless he can get all the way to the finish line before the time runs out. I don't think Patterson's going to be able to get back to the finish line, so this is his last lap. 2 seconds,
and
1.
Tobias Röhner gave up. My bad. I'm back.
Oh, hello, Lorenzo. I thought I heard you creeping around. Tassenoy back onto the front stretch. He's going around the Clark curve. The time is up. Does he have anything to go against Leponiemi? He needs a win. He needs Leponiemi to go back in the 4th place. Tassenoy across the line does not improve on his position. Geoffrey Tassenoy is sat back in 5th. That is not good for any championship hopes that he has. Sakke Leponiemi is now into the pits. Zarnecki, it still looks like he has this lap to go. Can he do anything? He did go a little off track there in Westfield, so it doesn't appear like he's going to have anything going there. A big mistake. Pierre Cavillon crosses the line. Cavillon does not improve on his time. Marion, remember, now he isn't able to set a time because he came out last. Everyone is back into the pits almost. There is Artur Zarnecki, who looks to be one of the last drivers that has an opportunity, and Zarnecki will go off into the pits. So it appears, unless any other driver has something to go, Marion is going to probably go over the line. He came out of the pits late. It looks like Leponiemi is 1st, Tobias Röhner 2nd, and Geoffrey Tassenoy is sat back in 5th. So that is not good for the championship hopes of Tassenoy.
Yeah, good lap by Sakke. Fast pace, man. I wouldn't be able to do that kind of lap, even if I was in a very, 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 very inspired Ayrton Senna day. Uh, Putting nearly a half a second on Tobias Röhner. But nevertheless, Geoffrey Tassenoy missions got a little bit complicated, but there's some guy named Tobias Röhner in second place, so the team orders could happen. In the next 4 minutes and 10 seconds, we might see team orders are going to happen.
And you've got to think, especially with you being a talking door teammate, that there definitely could be some team orders going on right now. With Röhner back in second place, if he can get by Leponiemi and just try to block him to death, there could be some interesting happenings in this race, because Röhner, his championship hopes basically lies on him getting a win and Sakke going all the way back down the lineup, and it doesn't look good for that happening. Now, when it comes to the standings, now, we've been talking about the championship. Right now, Sakke Leponiemi has an 11-point lead. Actually, now he's going to have a 12-point lead because of the pole position. So, that comes into play. He's 12 points up on Geoffrey Tassenoy, meaning that if Sakke Leponiemi, let me just see if my math is right, if he finishes in fourth,
You haven't done your math?
I did do my math, but now, of course, you have to have the variable, you know, x plus y equals pole position, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Leponiemi, if he finishes fourth and Geoffrey Tassenoy wins, that's Tassenoy's to lose. Or that's Tassenoy's to win, excuse me. Tassenoy would have a 1-point advantage over Leponiemi in that case. However, Tassenoy is sat back in 5th place. He's going to have to make a blinding start if he wants anything on Leponiemi.
And I don't see that happening.
I see Tassenoy. In the last race, Röhner had a lot more speed than Tassenoy, but he just couldn't get by his teammate. And the one thing that you've seen later in the season is that Röhner has not had the best of luck, but Leponiemi is just cool and calm under pressure. I don't see anyone getting by him.
Yeah, once again, he's a Finn. He's Finnish. So,
I mean, that is the Finnish stereotype.
Yeah, that's the Finnish stereotype. So you can go better than a Finn.
Is there a Brazilian stereotype?
Aside somebody crazy with a lot of shenanigans on the track,
so
like Ayrton Senna,
and
no.
you, I don't know. I mean, you did beat me in that Abrath race.
Yeah, but that was a fun race. Like I didn't push. Like, I'm gonna be very honest. I'm very conservative with my driving. I only do passes that I actually know I can do it. I usually don't dive bomb or be aggressive. I try to, you know, maneuver not maneuver, but conserve my tires as best as possible. In a set of courses, a whole different story because I'm not very used with the set of courses, even though that's my main game. But nevertheless, I try to be as most cautious as possible during my drive, because for me, it's not about being how fast you are, but about being how consistent you are. And for Brands Hatch, that is actually a true factor. You need to be consistent. You need to hit your skid marks and everything. Otherwise, it's a whole different race you're gonna race.
Absolutely, and with 50 seconds left to go, Leponiemi, Röhner, Zarnecki, Cavillon, Tassenoy round out the top 5 on the grid. Marion, Brelin, Patterson, Geoffrey, and Paul Herlo are the top 10. Stur, Van Overen, Sauce, Dita Benica Antonio, and Dika Andre round out the top 15. Marco Victor, Paul Blythe, Christian Schumann, Heide, and Harper, the top 20. Milsars, Bruce, and Vanden Norgate round out the rest of the field. 20 seconds left to go until the race has started, and you do see the spotter's guide up on the broadcast. The lights are showing one race between Sakke and the championship. Does Geoffrey Tassenoy have anything to go against him? The lights are starting to count down. 2 seconds until the race, and we are racing in the Brands Hatch Championship of the MX5 Cup. Tobias Röhner, can he do anything to get by Leponiemi on the Brabham Straight going into the paddock hill bend? Leponiemi leads, but Röhner does have momentum going down this straight. Can he do anything on the outside? Röhner, Leponiemi, who can do it? On Druids, Leponiemi and Röhner very close to each other, but Leponiemi does have the inside line, meaning he does have the advantage.
And Geoffrey Tassenoy just hit Evan Marion. He's losing a few places. Much places.
Tassenoy is falling back in a huge amount of places. He's now back in the 13th, in the 14th. Di Domenicantonio is about to pass him. This is 100% not what wanted to happen for Geoffrey Tassenoy. Tobias Röhner almost made a move on Sakke Leponiemi. Leponiemi has such an easy way now. What happened to Tassenoy? Already back up in the 12th place. Cavillon going on the inside of Röhner, going through Hawthorne's Bem. It doesn't work for Pierre Cavillon, but he's still going to fight back. Leponiemi is starting to get a margin, almost 0.6 seconds in the lead. But Gabriel Sturr looks like to be disconnected from the server. Can he get back into it? Who knows? Tassenoy into 11, but 100% that is the worst possible start you could have asked for if you're Geoffrey Tassenoy.
Yeah, man, he had a very close-up battle with Pierre Cavillon. Pierre Cavillon shutting his door on Druid's Bend, and by total unfortunate, he hit Evan Marion. And I know Geoffrey is a very gentleman driver, so he let Marion pass, but by letting him pass, he just lost so many places. I think the race is basically over for him.
And it's crazy. Sakke Leponiemi already has a 1 second advantage over Tobias Röhner. Wow, you could not have asked. If you're Sakke Leponiemi, you were just loving what you saw behind you. Right now, Tassenoy is outside the top 10, almost a second and a half from Cyril Sauce, and that huge train that's starting to form in the mid-pack. Patterson is in 6th place. He's the behind of the train. He's the caboose, I guess you would say, of Cavillon, Zarnecki, and Tyler Breland's battle. Röhner 1.2 seconds away from Sakke Leponiemi. And if there's a mistake, Röhner is now off the track a little bit. Lets Leponiemi slide a little bit more away. Already a 1.5 second advantage. It looks like if Leponiemi does not make one mistake, that Leponiemi has probably the easiest trek to a championship ever.
Yeah, and Cavillon and Zarnecki are side to side in the very fast right-hander. I can't remember the curve name, so you're gonna have to do the job for me. But who's doing moving up places is Craig Patterson, well driven by the Guernsey man.
Patterson's
right. Guernsey man, yes.
Patterson's right behind Pierre Cavillon, and that huge train that's already formed. There's a few of them. Cavillon, who was one of the faster cars in practice and qualifying, he's off track, so Patterson's going to have a big advantage going into the Clark Curve and Clearways. Can he do anything here going on to the Brabham Straight? We'll just have to find out. Breland, Zarnecki in front of them. Breland's starting to pull away from this pack ever so slightly. Röhner got his advantage down to 1.4 seconds from Sakke Leponiemi, so maybe it's not all quite over. Tyler Breland is in 3rd place, Zarnecki 4th, Cavillon, Patterson, Marion, Geoffrey, Van Overen, and Tassenoy, who has made the pass from Cyril Sauce, is in 10th place. Is it too late? I know it's the very beginning of the race, but is there anything left for Tassenoy to get anything in this championship? I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. Like, he's in the top 10. Now he's actually threatening to make a move on Frank Van Overen. Frank, lucky move by Frank. He actually nearly lost his car. Now he's probably going to go to 9th place in the inside of the very super.
Oh, they touched real quick.
Yeah, they touch. But
sorry about that, Lorenzo. Continue.
No problem. I was going to say he can make ground up. He's a very fast driver, and he got a much faster pace than the rest of the field. So I can definitely see him making moves down the back, but I don't see him like winning the championship. Not at all. I think the chance now is with Tobias Röhner, and he needs to push.
Now, Tobias did get the advantage down 0.3 of a second on Leponiemi going around the Sterling's Bend. So maybe Röhner does have a little bit left in the tank. I still would have loved to see what he could have done if he could get by his teammate Geoffrey Tassenoy in the race at Vallelunga. Already around a 4-second gap has formed between the 2nd and 3rd place drivers of Röhner and Breland. Brelin with a little bit of a slide. That might open the door for Artur Zarnecki to get into the podium. Wouldn't that be a great story if Artur Zarnecki could get a podium spot? Zarnecki on the outside, going in to the Paddock Hill bend. Could he try to make the move on the outside? It's very hard to do. They keep it. Brelin with a little bit of a slide, but it looks like Zarnecki might clear him. Pierre Cavillon has an opportunity on the outside. Brelin, Zarnecki, they touch a little bit. Zarnecki slides. He still holds control of it. Cavillon, might he try to go 3 wide? It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Cavillon, Zarnecki, they all touch with Brelin. Whoa, unbelievable action so far in Brands Hatch.
Very good, and nearly they touched in Graham Menard there, going to Surtees. And one thing you got to take notice is if someone doesn't make a move and break away from the pack, Evan Marion is right behind them. Craig Patterson's not too far behind. So we are going to see a 5-way battle if they keep going like this.
Absolutely. Tobias Röhner at front lost a little bit of an advantage. He was gaining. He's almost 2 seconds behind Sakke Leponiemi. He's going to have to push like there's no tomorrow on the 4th lap of 27 for this race. Back in 9th is Geoffrey Tassenoy. He's 14.8 seconds behind the leader, Sakke Leponiemi. He has a huge advantage to try and close down on him, but that train at the front could help him. Right now, if Leponiemi was to make an incredible mistake, the only way that Tassenoy can even have an opportunity mathematically to win a championship is if he finishes at least 4th. He needs to finish 4th, and if that does happen, then Leponiemi would have to get no points, which will not happen. Röhner right now, he needs to win the race. That is not happening. So Sakke Leponiemi has a big advantage on anybody so far in this race going around Druids.
Yes, and I believe the pace right now for Tobias, I think that's too much for the German. I think Sakke is pretty much doing what he has done in qualifying, being very fast and consistent with his curves. By the way, further back in the field, Pierre Cavillon made a good move around the Paddock Hill to take 4th position from Tyler Brelin, but still it's a very open battle between all 4 cars. But the one who's breaking away, Artur Zarnecki, is actually nearly 1 second, half a second to 1 second away from the pack.
One thing we've learned about Tyler Brelin so far this season is he's a very aggressive driver who isn't afraid to make some rash overtaking abilities. And there is some smoke in the front of Cavillon. Maybe it was just my screen tearing up a little bit, but maybe Zarnecki did lose a little bit of time, and it seems like he is falling victim to something. Did go off track a little bit at Westfield in the Dingledale. Tyler Brelin right on the back of Pierre Cavillon. Is he going to make any move there? All these cars are just cutting and going off track. Brelin tries to go right next to him. Oh man, Brelin, like I was saying, a brash overtaking maneuver, and Marion might go on to Pierre Cavillon. Marion goes by him. Marion's trying to go back onto Tyler Brelin. Brelin, who is incredibly dive-bomby, I guess that's a word now. That is a word, Lorenzo. Put it in the dictionary.
Yes, I'll put it up.
Dive-bomby, that's how you describe Tyler Brelin. Marion has a run. So does Craig Patterson on Cavillon. There's a few drivers that could make maneuvers going in to the Paddock Hill bend. No one does, but Marion has a big advantage. Brelin going into a little bit of a blocking situation going on Halewoods Hill in the Druids. He's still blocking a bit. Zarnecki is starting to pull away. He loves what he sees in his rear view mirror. Tassenoy, 16.6 seconds away. It's all Sakke Leponiemi in the championship.
Well, Sakke is pretty much. I'm gonna reaffirm what I said. I think he has a Mercedes engine inside that Mazda because he's much faster than everybody. It's not. If I was a driver, I would say that's not even funny because that sounds like teasing. But he's actually really quick.
Absolutely, and it's just insane to see how quick Leponiemi has been in this entire series. It's almost as if it's like, well, just give us a little bit of interesting things to happen at front as the commentators, you know what I'm saying. But going into lap 7 of the race, Sakke has a 2.5 second advantage over Tobias Röhner. He is 9 seconds up on Artur Zarnecki, so already there's a huge gap behind Tobias Röhner going to Leponiemi. A few drivers have actually, it seems that they have gone off the race. It looks like Gabriel Stur, Radek Milsards, and Dinka Andre will not finish this race due to probably technical reasons. Norman Bruce is the last place driver who is still running. He's at he's a minute and 29 seconds off the pace. So Leponiemi will come up to him and start the lap traffic brigade that almost took him out of the race last week in Vallelunga.
Yes, and right now Pierre Cavillon nearly making a dive move on Druids Bend. He might have the chance on Hill, but one guy who's actually making up real ground is Geoffrey Tassenoy. Now he's in 9th, trying to closing down the gap on Paul Geoffrey. He might close within a lap or two, but well, now for Geoffrey is much a recovery race, but still very good race thus far. No many incidents, no aggressive blocking or unloyal blocking, so to speak.
Absolutely, and for Tassenoy, you have to figure this is a miserable race of sorts because he started 5th, which is not what he wanted to do at all. Fell all the way back into around 13th place after an incident in the start of the race, which is not what he wanted to do at all. He sat back in 9th, almost 18 seconds off the pace of Sakke Leponiemi with almost no shot. It would take an absolute miracle for him to get anything on Sakke Leponiemi. So right now it's just racing for keeps. And remember, there is that battle for 2nd place in the standings. Right now, Röhner's only 12 points off of his teammate Geoffrey Tassenoy. And Lorenzo, you know what time it is. It's time for some math. So you take it away.
All right, I'll take it away since Dylan Coyle is going to make some maths. And let me just say that Tyler Browland's actually managing to break away from the back. He has actually a 1 second advantage to Pierre Cavillon and Evan Marion. Craig Patterson lost it on Crocs Bend, so he lost a little bit of ground, but I believe he's going to make that up. Pierre Cavillon with an aggressive dive bombing on the Druids Bend, out there side to side with Evan Marion, going to Graham's band. Side to side still, but Evan Marion coming out on top. Up in the front, Sakke Leponiemi has a 3.6 second advantage to Tobias Röhner. He's dominated the race thus far, not making any single mistakes, hitting the skid marks properly as the driver should. But thus far, very good race. And further back in the field, there are some action going right now. Paul Geoffrey and Geoffrey Tassenoy, for one example. But the realest going on right now is still Pierre Cavillon and Evan Marion. They touch. Evan Marion lost his car, nearly threw Pierre Cavillon out of the track, but managed to keep it inbounds. Very well done by Evan. That was a scary move, but still race on. Nearly crashed on Hawthorns, on the exit of Hawthorns, but now they're approaching the start-finish line and actually managed to have Craig Patterson going on their back bumper. Managed to gain some time with that battle, but still very heated battle. And we are not even 10 laps in. We're not even in the halfway mark of this race. Sakke Leponiemi just put a 4.6 second advantage, nearly a second faster.
Do you need a drink, Lorenzo?
I don't. I'm very good. My drink is the gold medals.
Oh, Brazil. Huh.
Yes,
anyway.
we remember.
Pierre Cavillon and Evan Marion almost come together again. Great commentary, by the way, Lorenzo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Patterson is just loving the battle in front and allows him to catch up even more. Going into Graham Hill, Ben Cavillon, another dive bomb. Brelin almost loses it once again. Patterson, again, is trying to catch up. Say it again.
You said Brelin.
I did say Brelin. Cavillon and Marion. See, this is what I'm talking about. Mathematics screws with you, you know? Patterson,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, going into Pilgrim's Drop. Patterson, Pierre Cavillon, almost side by side.
I've seen a tree wide.
Patterson is thinking any which way he can make the move. It won't work for him yet. Craig Patterson lets off a little bit, and Marion slides. And still Cavillon goes in front of Patterson. Insane battles going on. Patterson was almost taken out. Marion off the track. Cavillon is going on the inside. Patterson's coming right behind Cavillon, trying to go through Marion. Oh, man. Patterson and Marion touch. Cavillon slides a little bit. Patterson, can he do anything here in the Sterling's Bend? He's going to get a big run on Cavillon.
Sorry, teacher, but you know who's saying thank you for all of this? Look behind of him.
Let's see.
Geoffrey Tassenoy.
Ooh, Geoffrey. Hello, Geoffrey Tassenoy. Tassenoy definitely is loving this battle up there. He's in 8th place right now, and if he can get by the mess that is occurring right in front of him, he would get into 5th place. That's where the battle rages. 5th through 7th place. Marion is in 7th. Patterson is sandwiched between him and Cavillon. Patterson has Marion going on the inside of him at Druids. Patterson, can he make it stick? They're side by side again. He will have the advantage because he has the inside line in the Graham Hill Bend. Marion takes a little short maneuver through that bend going into the Cooper Straight. And Pierre Cavillon is just going away from both of those drivers. Norman Bruce is lap traffic, so he's the first one a lap down, going much slower than that battle behind them. Will anything happen there? Will that have an effect on this battle? Looks like Paul Blythe is in the pits for some reason. Not exactly sure why, but Tassenoy is within around a second.
He's retired.
Paul Blythe is the 4th retirement of this race. Marion trying to go on the inside of Patterson. Will it work? Marion, Patterson, and Westfield Bend. They touch again. Patterson and Marion. They cannot make moves without hitting each other, it appears. My, oh my. Oh, and by the way, I did some mathematics.
Oh, you did some mathematics?
I did do some mathematics. Right now, Tassenoy still takes 2nd place away from Röhner. It's a 3-point difference from them right now. Röhner would get 18 points, and in the position that Geoffrey Tassenoy is in, actually now he would get 8 points, so the difference is 4 points between the two drivers. So right now, Tassenoy still has 2nd place in the championship. Not what he wants. He does want 1st place in the championship, obviously. But with Röhner being the next closest driver to Leponiemi with a 6-second gap between him and the Sakke, it doesn't appear that anything will happen on 1st place's front.
Yes, and while we were talking, Craig Patterson just took the place from Navarro Marion. Now Geoffrey Tassenoy is knocking on the door, not far behind. Paul Geoffrey is also going to knock on the door if they keep going like this. But the one is breaking away from the pack. Pierre Cavillon doing a very good job. After the Sugiri, and I'm not going to say the rest, he's actually breaking away from the pack. Very well done.
Did you just say, what did you say?
Swiggity. I can't remember the words properly then.
Oh man. What's the term I always say, Lorenzo? You can say it for me.
What are you gonna do with me?
Yes.
I thought you had figured it out.
Listen. That's a question that even scholars couldn't figure out. Anyway, Patterson in front of Marion still. Oh, and they almost touch again. Marion had to go land the braking. Tassenoy is right behind in this battle. I'll tell you what. Tassenoy will have to be careful that he is in another casualty in this battle that is going between Marion, Patterson, and Cavillon, who has gotten around a 2-second gap on them. Right behind Tassenoy, however, is Paul Geoffrey, and Geoffrey is loving this as well to get even more points. Paul Geoffrey is in 11th place in the championship standings, so anything that can happen, he loves.
Yeah. He's basically in a very, what I would say, in a, they touch once again. But still, I think he's on, not lucky, but I can't find the proper word though, in rewards mode. Everything for him is rewarding thus far. So, just keep driving. He's doing very good up to this point.
Right now, the podium is Sakke Leponiemi, Tobias Röhner, and Archer Zarnecki. And Zarnecki, really impressive drive from him so far. He has around a 2.5-second gap on the 4th place driver, Tyler Brelin, the American. Beautiful.
American.
Of course. Pierre Cavillon is in 5th place. Marion, Patterson, Tassenoy, Geoffrey, and Cyril Sauce round out your top 10. The battle is raging once again in the mid-packs. It seems like every single week there's been a mid-pack battle as Patterson has Geoffrey Tassenoy trying to go on the inside of him. Tassenoy's right on the bumper of Patterson, has to take an evasive action to avoid hitting Craig Patterson. That would ruin his race even more than it already has for Tassenoy. On Dingledale into the Sheen curve. Patterson did cut there, however, and that is one of the illegal cutting zones. Tassenoy on the inside of Patterson. Patterson cuts the door off. Remember, there are 3 areas of this track which there is an illegal cut zone from. The Sheen curve, what you just saw Patterson do, Graham Hill, and Westfield. Those are illegal cutting zones, ones that, of course, can lead to an unfair advantage, and Tassenoy might have something to say about that.
Yeah, you might, but considering how fast and how those drivers are pushing their cars, I think that's very understandable. They're not going to report each other as long as they keep it. For me, as long as they keep it clean and avoid any major shenanigans in between them, they should be not reporting each other. But and it's kind of funny. I was thinking about Graham's Hill, and one thing I know, I raced this track in iRacing, and here we go with the talk instead, of course, in iRacing. Funny thing, actually, that isn't a cutting spot.
Really?
That's actually a part of the track. Drivers actually use that in the real life.
That is true. However, you think also with the rules that are made, I mean, you have to think, and this is something that has been an issue in regards to Formula One that they've talked about with the cutting and everything. Will you enforce the rules? Now, I know some people who are watching it might be an IndyCar fan. There's been a few times where drivers have gone over the line coming out of the pits, which, of course, even in F1 is illegal, but they only get a warning. Now, is that penalty? And there is a driver off. It is Andrew Harper, and Harper is already a lap down, so nothing going on there. However, you have to think, should you enforce the penalties that you say and you lay out what the issue is and what the penalty would be? Do you penalize that?
That is actually a good question. It's a matter of, I think, having a good sense. Of course, you would enforce them. You have to abide yourself by the rules. You have to enforce the rules as, not as strictly, but as you have to be very strict with the rules. You have to, of course, enforce them, but you have to have good sense. And sometimes, I think, in real racing, good sense comes to a very high perspective. I think they use a lot of good sense in most of the cases. But nevertheless, you're keeping it clean, which is a really good thing for all guys. And Geoffrey Tassenoy going on Surtees in the inside.
Patterson, Tassenoy, they almost touch. It looked like Patterson had a little touch of the bumper of Tassenoy, but going down to the Pilgrim's Drop, Tassenoy gets that advantage. In the 7th place he goes. Next driver for him is Evan Marion. Now Marion is going through Hawthorne's Bend, and we've been talking about it a lot, but for Tassenoy right now, he would need to finish 4th place, and you have to think that what he's thinking about is having that teammate advantage. Not much of a battle happening up front. Still 6.5 seconds is the difference between Tobias Röhner and Sakke Leponiemi. Zarnecki's still in that podium spot. All the battles are raging in the mid-packs. Going down further in the field, Di Domenicantonio has a 6-second advantage off the 16th place driver, Paul Herlo, who was also the last driver on the lead lap. Sakke Leponiemi should be coming up to him soon. There is a battle between Marco Victor and Christian Schumann. Now, this is for 12th place in the race right now, and Schumann has around a 2nd advantage on Victor. But other than that, and with Tassenoy and Craig Patterson, there aren't any crazy battles happening right now in Clearway. Schumann, Victor. Can anything happen with these two drivers? Both drivers are in need of the points. Victor sits back into 15th place, while Christian Schumann is in 11th place. In the standings, he's tied with Craig Patterson. So a bit of a miserable race for Christian Schumann, you'd say, as well. There was a lot of promise for Schumann. Remember, Marco Victor had a run-in with a few drivers in the Nordschleife. Remember, I just said the name right, Lorenzo.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much for that. But right now, not too many crazy battles, and I think that also speaks to how difficult this track is to get right. It's almost as if you're driving the track, not exactly driving other drivers on the track.
Yeah, this is pretty much a very it's a track that pushes you to the every bit of limit that you have. Because of the bends, there are either quick bends or there are very treacherous bends like Surtees and Westfield, so to speak. Believe it or not, Westfield is a very treacherous turn. And by the way, Christian Schumann goes off and Marco Weichter getting this 12th spot.
Schumann's off. Heide is going to go by him as well. So Schumann is down in 14th position. And this is why, and this is for the FOM, excuse me. This is why you go back to the lower battles, because it's still exciting. You know, giving a little talk to the Formula One management, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, Brelin is now 2 seconds off of a podium spot from Artur Zarnecki. We're on the 16th lap out of 27, so we're almost 66% of the way through this championship race of the season. Röhner is now 7 seconds from Leponiemi. Sakke Leponiemi, let's just talk about him real quick, because what a season he has been having. 100% winning percentage in every race he has participated in so far. The only race he did not win was the race he was, of course, not racing in. It's kind of impossible to win a race which you're not in. But Sakke Leponiemi is just an incredible driver who has taken so many tracks and basically made them his own.
Yes, Sakke is a very good driver, and that's not only in the Mazdas. Mazdas is, believe it or not, is not his specialty. He's a very good driver in the Mazdas, but he's really good with the GT and Abarth Corsa cars. He's really good with those cars. He knows how to handle them nicely, do a good setup, being fast, being very consistent, provide a good race to viewers and drivers as well. And that's no different in this championship. He's done everything right, except for the Vallelunga crash, where it basically wasn't his fault. But still, no errors whatsoever for the Finn, and well, he's snapping the championship for what it seems.
He's the type of driver who you can hand him any car and any track and he'd still be one of the top drivers in that series. He has never, I don't think he's made one mistake when it's come to his own. Now, you were saying Vallelunga, it wasn't his fault. There was some lap traffic that appeared to warp in front of him. But other than that, you haven't seen him make a mistake by himself in an actual race so far.
No, you haven't, and that portrays the mentality of Sakke. Sakke usually doesn't make mistakes of missing the apex or a corner exit. He's always pushing. Of course, he's always pushing the car to a point that, oh, he's gonna do a mistake, but he's not doing any mistakes thus far. He's keeping it very consistent and clean, hitting all the skid marks. If you see the track rubber, there is actually an indicator of the track rubber where it's most rubbered in the track. It basically is seeing him driving the perfect line.
Absolutely, and you see sometimes he, compared to other drivers, he might take a weirder line, but the line he takes is the best line. We just had another retirement. It looks like Andrew Harbour, or I said that earlier. I did say that earlier, I think. I'm just losing my mind. But the line that Sakke Leponiemi has taken, especially going around Surtees. Now, this is one that a lot of people are going on the inside, hitting the curbing. He goes all the way to the outside, almost touches the outside curbing, and then comes on the inside. That is the perfect line that a lot of drivers do not see and do not use, and that just ends up being the best one in the entire track. You've seen him do that in every single race so far this season, where he finds that perfect line and just goes away from any driver. Now, there is a battle that appears to be shaping. Evan Marion, Geoffrey Tassenoy. They do have a lap car in front of them. Jurgen van den Noordgate, he gets off to the side, but that allows Marion to go on the inside of Tassenoy, going around Surtees, and now going to the Pilgrim's Drop. They're side by side. Marion
it's a French-speaking battle.
It is a French-speaking battle. One's what? The Frenchman and the Belgian. Tassenoy going on the inside at Hawthorne's Bend. Marion sticks with him. Marion on the outside. Tassenoy relents. Tassenoy loses the spot to Evan Marion. Marion is now in the 6th place going around Westfield, and Tassenoy is still furiously going to try and fight back. But look who's right behind that battle. Craig Patterson's going to say, how do you do? And try and take away another spot from both of those drivers. Tassenoy slides. He's off the track. Geoffrey Tassenoy, his day is going from bad to worse. Tassenoy is into the wall in Sterling's Bend. Jurgen van den Noordgate is also off. Cyril Sauce, can he try to make a move? This is dangerous. Goes in the middle of van den Noordgate and Tassenoy is now back into 9th place. My, oh my, a miserable showing from Tassenoy, and Tassenoy slides again in the Clark curve and is off again.
Yeah, that's the sand. That's the sand of the car. Yeah, dirt tires, most definitely. Our cameraman, Davey Vindevan, spotted that one. Very good by Davey. And by the way, Davey's also a very good driver on his own. Let me just say that. He managed to spot that little aspect of the car that where you have dirt tires, you're not gonna have any grip at all, and that's what happened on Clark's Bend. And now he might lose position to Paul Geoffrey.
He might lose another position to Paul Geoffrey, and Geoffrey just go by him. Tassenoy just almost slowed down to a standstill position.
Yeah, I can't understand that as well. I think he's here taking it really slow, trying to avoid overheating his tires. But he's going much slower than actually predicted because Frank Van Overen is coming up like a bullet on his back.
Frank Van Overen is coming right to him, and this is a very important battle because if I do my mathematics again, right now at the end of this session in the spots that they are currently in, Tobias Röhner would get to 98 points. Tassenoy right now is sat back in the 10th, and doing my math real quick, if he finishes in 10th, Tassenoy would be with 98 points as well. So this is a very important position. Tassenoy would get the lead, but now he hits Jurgen van den Noordgate, and Tassenoy's off again. Tassenoy is now 3rd in the championship standings.
And he retires.
And Tassenoy retires.
My, oh my.
Geoffrey Tassenoy.
Do you have any words? I don't have any words.
It's the fall of a driver who is doing an incredible job all season. An absolutely miserable race turns from bad to worse, and Geoffrey Tassenoy is out of the race. Falling back even more, Tobias Röhner will finish 2nd in this championship. Can anything else happen? There are no words for it. It looks like Tassenoy will be in 3rd place at the end of this championship. No one can catch up to him in the standings other than Röhner. So we know Tassenoy's position unless anything happens with Tobias. Tassenoy is going to be in 2nd or 3rd place. Röhner 2nd. That's incredible. It's the fall of an amazing driver.
Yeah, man, I feel, and I just stated in our conversation, I want to bring him for an interview. I'll see if I can get an interview mid-race. I just want to get what happened in his spot.
It would be a very interesting interview. He hasn't absolutely quit yet, but he's still remaining into the pits, probably to watch the end of this race. It's almost sad in a way because Tassenoy was doing so well, all of a sudden has a poor race, and right now, for Leponiemi, it's his championship to lose. Sakke Leponiemi has no competition. All that would have to happen for him to lose it by a godsend miracle is if Tobias got in the first, got an 11-second gap minimized, and Leponiemi just said, hey, I'm awful at driving and finished at best 15th. So with a few laps to go, Sakke Leponiemi is looking like he will be your MX5 Cup champion.
Yes, and in a very dominating fashion. Like his gap to Tobias Röhner is, and Tobias Röhner nearly goes off on Hawthorne, but it's 11 seconds, and Artur Zarnecki, lap by lap, is actually closing the range on Tobias Röhner.
Zarnecki is now 3 seconds away from Tobias Röhner, and it doesn't really have much of a battle in the point standings anymore. All Tobias Röhner needs to finish to get that gap between him and Tassenoy closed. Now remember, Röhner is 12 points away. All that Tassenoy or Röhner needs to do is finish 4th place. So second isn't the biggest thing for him right now. 4th place gets 13 points, and with that, he's behind Tassenoy by 12 points. Tassenoy is in the pits. He's in 18th, and that is where he's going to remain for the rest of the race. So Geoffrey Tassenoy, 18th place, that's where he will be. It looked like Röhner had a little touch into the gravel going around the Paddock Hill bend, so something to look out for there. His tires might be a little worn or dirty. So really, there's not much that you can say in terms of a championship battle at front. Of course, there's still that battle between Cavillon, Brelin, and Cyril Sauce all the way back to, and of course, that's not as close as the battle is between Zarnecki through Christian Schumann, but Zarnecki's definitely going to have a points-paying day today.
Yes, man. He's going to have to drink it in, that lager, or that beer, or that whiskey, and compose himself and say, this is just another race. What matters here is you try to have fun, and the only battle I can see in the track thus far is probably between Henrik Heide and Alessandro Di Domenicantonio.
Di Domenicantonio and Henrik Heide are within a second of each other, and now this is for 13th place in this timetable right now. Heide has that advantage over Di Domenicantonio. Both drivers have had interesting shares. It seems like around 15th place, Di Domenicantonio is always in a battle with someone. If only he could catch up to the leading or mid-packs, that would be an absolutely incredible thing to watch. Aggressive driving always leads to some interesting racing. And at front, the difference between Röhner and Zarnecki is now 2 points. So Zarnecki would absolutely love to get a 2nd place finish there. If he did get into 2nd place, he'd be finishing the season with 46 points. So that's something to watch out for as well.
Yes, I think Artur is pretty much driving a very hard last laps. We are around lap 22 right now, so he's basically got nothing to lose. So he's just driving for pure fun and try to get a spot on the podium, of course. But he needs to be very careful, because the last time it was actually this fast, something bad happened to him. So try to avoid any mistakes, and he should be into 2nd place.
And he is closing on Röhner even more. It's now under 2 seconds, the difference between the two drivers. So it's something to look out for. Tobias Röhner might not be running as hard. I don't know if he knows that Tassenoy is out of the race. They probably have been talking to each other. But Tobias Röhner, all he has to do is finish 4th place to get 2nd in the championship. So even if he gave up 2nd place to Zarnecki, it wouldn't hurt him in the championship standings. Röhner did not win a race this year. The other winner besides Sakke Leponiemi was Geoffrey Tassenoy. That was in the first race. That was an incredible start to this series. That probably set the tone for the rest of the championship when they came together almost on the last lap. Now, that so far has probably been the moment of the season that I love so much. That final lap at Silverstone.
And for me, it's either the final lap of Silverstone or the shenanigans that happened in Vallelunga between both of them. It's either one of those two.
That was an incredible little bit of shenanigans, of course, and it's almost like now we're looking at a scrapbook of the season. Monza's mid-pack battles were incredible. That was one of the most exciting times. At Brands Hatch for the Indy circuit in the 2nd race, of the season. That was the start of when Sakke Leponiemi was going to prove to everybody that he will be the best driver in this series. I was not here for the Nordschleifer. I know you were, but that battle at the front, it was between Leponiemi and I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Tobias Röhner and him now were having that battle at the Nordschleife, and that was interesting as well. I'd say Tobias Röhner's second place is well deserved in my opinion. He's off track as well.
As I think the tires are coming up to a sort of an effect, because now the gap is not pretty much wide. It's close to 1 second and not 1.9 seconds. But I believe that we might see something coming up in the final 3 laps.
I would bet you that Zarnecki would absolutely love to just throw it into Tobias Röhner in one curve. We're about to go on lap 25 as Leponiemi starts it on the Brabham straight. 13-second advantage for him. Zarnecki is only around 1.4 seconds from Tobias Röhner, and Röhner has been making a few mistakes so far. Could something happen here? One thought just came to my head. Wouldn't it be funny if Tassenoy came out and tried to block for his teammate? That would be a very, I wouldn't say that's a professional thing to do, but it'd be very interesting for us up in the booth.
It would. Like, I know Mr. Bram Hinkenveld, which is with us in this channel, wouldn't like that kind of thing happening.
Oh, we know he would not.
I know he would not, and especially that Geoffrey Tassenoy is one of our staff members, so he knows best what to do. That would not be good. But
absolutely.
Nevertheless, it would have been either funny, catastrophe in the making, but nevertheless, it would be good for us to broadcast in the booth. By the way, look at the back bumpers.
Look back there. And if we're looking back up here, though, Tobias Röhner only has a second now on Zarnecki. I know you're looking at other drivers right now, but the thing is, Röhner, Zarnecki are coming up on some lap traffic again. So this could absolutely be an interesting battle with 2 laps to go coming around here. They're on the Dingledale right now, and they're going into the Sheen curve. A little bit of a cut by Zarnecki, but on lap 25 of 27, Leponiemi is about to start off on his penultimate lap. It does appear that he has Jürgen van den Noordgate in front of him. Zarnecki and Röhner, this is a battle that is absolutely raging. And Röhner with a little bit of a touch into the grass off at Clark Curve. You can absolutely see some momentum being gained here. Jürgen van den Noordgate professionally going to the inside, so no drivers would be into him in the back. Röhner now going outside really hard. It didn't look like Zarnecki got good on the apex there, going into Halewoods Hill into Druid. So definitely something to look out for here.
Yes, and the gap, it's 0.7 seconds. I believe now he just gained a 1/10 of a second now. But still, 2 laps to go. And I was going to say again that phrase, but I'm not going to say that.
Okay. What are we going to do with you? Anyway, so Tobias Röhner is losing ground on Zarnecki. You could absolutely see something happening here. I'd say even on this lap, there could be something happening. Röhner is definitely losing time. What a move it would be for Zarnecki to get into second place. It would absolutely be his highlight of the season, passing both Talking Door Racing drivers. It would absolutely be one of the topics to talk about going into any other series that could happen with Zarnecki. Röhner had a little bit of an off apex right there. Not too much going on except for the fact that just Röhner is going a lot slower than Zarnecki. Could Zarnecki try something going in here? Going through Sterling's Bend, both of them taking the apex very well, but with this long curve going into the Brabham straight, absolutely something could happen. Sakke Leponiemi starts his final lap. All that separates him from the championship is 1 minute and maybe 40 seconds to go.
Yes, and down in between second and third now, the gap 0.4 seconds. They're going up paddock still. Both drivers taking the same line. I think Archer had the quickest line thus far, managed to close the gap to 0.2 seconds. Well, let's see. Boys and girls, strap in your virtual seatbelt. We're in for a good final lap.
Röhner and Zarnecki, Graham Hill bend, nothing going on there. Zarnecki goes off track a little bit. That gives a bit of an advantage to Tobias Röhner on the Cooper straight going into Surtees. Now, Zarnecki might have been a mistake right there, but he's absolutely going to try to throw it in on one of these curves going on to the GP section of the track. Going into Pilgrim's Drop definitely can get some momentum through this, but Röhner is now just going away from him a little bit at a time.
Yes, and up in the front now, just past Whitefield's, heading to Sterling's curve, Mr. Sakke Leponiemi.
Oh my word. There is not much you can say about Sakke Leponiemi that is not good or true, because Sakke Leponiemi has been one of the most incredible and dominating drivers you will see in a series so far. And going through the Clark curve onto the Brabham straight. Missed week 1, won 4-5 times in a row. Sakke Leponiemi is your MX5 Cup champion. He finishes first, his 5th straight win, 100% winning percentage, absolutely incredible. Back in second, Röhner will get it. Zarnecki was oh so close, but say hello to your winner, your champion, Sakke Leponiemi.
He's feeling very proud right now. Managed to do what Kimi Räikkönen cannot do, and even though Kimi Räikkönen is my idol, Tyler Bradlin finishes 4th. Pierre Cavillon finished the top 5. Craig Patterson managed to hold out Evan Marion on the last lap. Managed to get a 6th spot. Evan Marion eventually is going to be a 7th place. There's Salsay coming up right now on Clark's Bend. Going to be your 8th place. Paul Geoffrey also running out Clark's Bend is going to be your 8th place. Frank Van Over 9th. And then rounding out the top 10 will be Marco Weither.
Absolutely incredible performance by Sakke Leponiemi. This entire championship, it would have been much different if he was here for Silverstone. Just your boy Mercedes, absolutely, again, incredible.
Yeah, if I was Mercedes, I would have hired him right now. Mercedes, please listen to me.
There is a small battle between Henrik Heide and Paul Herlo. Looks like Heide will have the advantage going in through Clark Curve. Heide will finish 14th. It looks like Paul Herlo will finish 15th, and that's going to round out your point-paying positions.
Yeah, it's very done by everyone else. I think the other guys are actually a lap down, but I think the story of the race could be not only the championship, but Geoffrey Tassenoy's retirement. And I think time for interviews. I'm seeing if I'm going to bring the guys in.
Time for the race interviews, the champion interview. There's not much more that you can say about Sakke Leponiemi. What an incredible drive he's had the entirety of this season. It shouldn't have even been a battle if he got here into the first race. Absolutely devastating race for Geoffrey Tassenoy. Tobias Röhner does go into second in the championship standings. So an absolute catastrophe of a race for him. Röhner second in the race, second in the standings. And everyone's moving into the race control channel. Lorenzo, start it off for us.
I thought you were going to do mathematics, but never mind. I'll start it off with 3rd place.
Already did that.
Okay. We're going to start it out with our 3rd place. I'm not going to say if it was a surprising 3rd place. It's not surprising, right, Dylan?
Absolutely not. Everybody. He's been one of your guys the entirety of the season that you looked out for.
But that's right. Mr. Artur Zarnecki. Did I just say that name right? Zarnecki?
No. It's called Czarnecki, but I know it's
Czarnecki. All right. I'll make sure I remember that one.
We can't announce stuff right, Lorenzo. It's our fault.
Yeah, we can't.
It was pretty funny
we should retire.
To hear Czarnecki, so you can do it.
Czarnecki. But nevertheless, Arthur, very good very good last race, 3rd spot. I think that's your first podium finish. Thus far, very well done. You were very much in a very good pace compared to the other drivers. But describe us what do you feel about that race?
Well, I like this track a lot. It's kind of new to me because I haven't got a chance to run any races on it. But I just love the track. I think the pace was very good. Not as good just to be higher, but I think third place is really good place. I had a very bad start as always, because I always start very badly. I lost, I think, 2 positions. There were some contacts I must see on the replays. I'm not sure if it was totally clean, but then I was able to get my third spot again and try to chase Tobias, which it was surprising for me, but I managed to do. In the last 3 laps, I was all wet through sweat, and I got him, and it was really close just to overtake him.
Dylan, do you have a question?
Arter, it's what an incredible drive from you. Was we could tell up in the booth that you were absolutely going to try and make any moves going in to the last 3 or 2 laps of the race. It seemed like you lost a little bit of time on the final lap. Take us through that for us, please.
Yeah, then I made a mistake on turn 3, I think, or 2, I'm not sure. And it cost me about, I don't know, 3/10 of a second, I think. So this was the place I lost the chance to overtake Tobias, because he must have struggled with his tires, I think, because it was just too easy to get him. So there was a big chance, but I didn't make it. I made a mistake.
All right, we appreciate it, Arter. And moving on to the second place finisher, Tobias Röhner. Now, Tobias, I'm not sure if you know, you finished second in the championship standings.
Yeah, I think I do know. I'm a bit sad for Geoff, because I think he's had some very bad luck this race. Some traffic problems and stuff, and yeah, he also mentioned something about lag incidents, so I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, overall, not really deserved second place for me, I guess, in the championship at least, because Geoff could put up more of a fight there, I guess.
Geoffrey Tassenoy did not have the greatest of races. A lot of unluckiness on his part. But you definitely did prove your worth through the entirety of the championship. Now, you were the one who was creating basically the series. You are the one who has been holding the entire series. Now, my question for you is, how did it all go? How do you think it went smoothly?
I mean, it was a learning experience for me. The first time I hosted a relatively big championship like this, and I mean, there's some hurdles here and there that I had to overcome somehow, but there's obviously some room for improvement in a lot of areas, but for first effort, it was pretty alright, and it's been a while since we've run a Assetto Corsa League on Racedepartment, and I'm just glad that it went relatively well, and that we'll be able to use the sim for future leagues to greater extents, because I'm very happy with how the game performed overall as well.
Absolutely. And Tobias, thank you very much. I'm very happy to have taken a part in the staff part of it. I know Lorenzo is too. But just a very exciting series, and it went perfectly well, in my opinion. I think Lorenzo would share those sentiments.
I do share my sentiments, believe it or not. I actually gotta agree something with the German guy. After all the Germany rivalry we had in the Olympics, he has to bring the Olympics back. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
no. Don't start with that.
I'm not gonna start with that. I'm just kidding. Even though my name is right now is no spaghetti on TeamSpeak, just provoking the Italians because we got gold again. But never mind. Good. Continuing on. Tobias, I just want to ask you a real question right now. What do you attribute your even though my name is right now is no spaghetti on the final laps? Was it because you weren't hitting your skid marks the way you wanted, or tires?
Tires definitely were a part of it, and I guess my driving style wasn't really appropriate for the high tire wear I was experiencing towards the end. And yeah, other drivers just coped with it better than me over the distance.
I figured that would be as much, but nevertheless, you got second place overall in the standings and in this race. Very well done by you, Tobias Röhner. And
Thank
now
you.
we go to our first place in this championship, first place in this race, and I think I cannot tire myself saying first place. Mr. Sakke Leponiemi, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing quite okay. Yeah, thank you.
Take us through your very, very dominating race. You were doing pretty much neatly all corners right, and you were basically wasn't feeling any tire wear at all. Take us through.
Well, I had problems in earlier races with tire wear, so I thought if I can pull a small gap in the beginning, then I can just ease off. And I did, and it really worked. The tires were absolutely fine in the end, and I think I could have gone on pretty much forever like that. It was really fun, and it is not easy. It's never easy. Even if it seems to be easy, it's not. The pace in the top level still is very fast, so you can't do any mistakes. And we saw guys like Pierre Cavillon doing under 41s in the race, so the pace is there. It's just getting the last inch out of the car, and that's the tricky part.
And how do you assess the entirety of the championship thus far? I know you missed the first round, not because of booking issues that happened in the first round, but what do you think about the championship as a whole?
Well, it has been really a great experience. Assetto Corsa is my sim of choice and has been for a long time, and it's really cool to see Racedepartment hosting a proper championship on this platform. And it seemed to be a great experience for everybody involved, and big thanks to Tobias and everyone else involved in holding this championship. As to you guys in the commentating booth have really made this a unique experience.
Thank you very much. And Sakke, just one closing question. And you do have 5 options here. There's 5 options to this answer. What's your favorite race that you've partaken in so far?
It has to be Nordschleife. Tobias was faster than me, but I managed to hold him back. It was really fun driving through the green hill, close side by side.
Absolutely. And again, we were just interviewing the podium finisher. Sakke Leponiemi is your champion. Second place in the standings is Tobias Röhner. Third place is Geoffrey Tassenoy. Thank you guys for the interviews. And what an incredible season we just witnessed and partook in, Lorenzo.
Most definitely was very close from the get-go. In most of the races, we had action from the top to the bottom. My apologies, but nevertheless was extremely pleasing to be commentating this one with you, Dylan, with everyone else. And before we ran out our stream over here, I just want to say a few thank you to some of the guys that helped us with this. Bazooka Joe for making the comprehensive standing spreadsheets for the guys that made the skins and liveries. Exotic Jurgen van den Noordgate was actually he's in here in this channel. Thank you a lot. Charles Baicho, Paul Blythe for making the deliveries for the other drivers. Mateus Machado, Geoffrey Tassenoy, David Van de Veen, and Frank Van Overen with the organization, and at Arbus for making the extra grid slot tracks. Thank you a lot for helping us making this league, making what we think was a very successful league from the start to finish, and I believe you have the same sentiment as well, Dylan.
I also agree. Thank you to all the guys that Lorenzo just mentioned. As for me, a little bit more personal, I will say this was such an unbelievable feeling to be involved with everybody here. Now, this was my first series that I broadcasted on. Definitely would love to be with more broadcasts coming up. It was an awesome experience. And Lorenzo, it was great having you as my commentator buddy for most of the races, even though we still don't know what to do with you. It was awesome to have Davey
Figures.
Van de Veen as the race director. What an awesome job he did, showing you all the action on the broadcast. Any closing remarks, Lorenzo?
Basically, my closing remarks were, and by the way, end of the Olympics, go Brazil.
Is that seriously going to be your closing remarks? Like,
No,
this is...
I'm just kidding. The competition was great. I'm very happy with how the series came out. I can't wait to see another series in Assetto Corsa. And by the way, stay tuned for next week. Got the final round of the Indy World Series at Indianapolis. We're gonna rerun that race. I sure hope that race doesn't bring me any problems at all. But nevertheless, it was an exciting season to watch, an exciting season to commentate. And
Absolutely.
For now, that's all for me.
That's all for Lorenzo. Sakke Leponiemi is your MX5 Cup champion. From Lorenzo Bonder and myself, Dylan Coyle, we thank you all for watching us this entire season. Good night and good racing. Peace.